Hello guys, welcome to episode 60 of the Beat Your Backlog podcast, a podcast discussing things gamers like to put off, get to another day, and definitely, yes, will definitely be later their backlog. I'm your host Adam, and today we are doing something a little bit different. We've been doing something a little bit different quite often recently, but today we are actually going to go through the recent Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. I've watched it again, I've gone through it the second time now. Actually, I've started going through it the third time, rewatching it, just trying to get like the little tidbits out of it and trying to get some information out of it. But it was really the reason why I went through it the second time. And I've created, I think, a 15-page document here with notes on the whole game, the whole presentation, the games that were shown, everything that kind of we found out since the presentation. So I'm recording this on the day after. So this is now on the, what day are we? Thursday. This is the Thursday afternoon, and it was a Wednesday afternoon presentation. So it's still very fresh. I want to get this out to you because I want to, just kind of give you guys as much detail as I can about what was shown and also my thoughts and opinions. So so it's the Nintendo Switch 2. Before we get into the episode, I will remind you, I've started a new mini-series on the podcast called Nintendo Switch Memories. The first episode should have gone out yesterday, so this should be going out on, I think, a Saturday morning. The first episode of Nintendo Switch Memories went out last night, episode 59, with John from Gaming in the Wild. And the mini-series is about inviting guests on to talk about their, you can probably guess it, their Nintendo Switch memories. So, if you haven't watched it already or listened to it via the podcast, make sure you do, because it was a really, really interesting conversation with John. He's a really interesting guy, a really cool guy. And if you don't know his content, make sure you go and check out Gaming in the Wild on podcast services or on YouTube. And of course, as always, before we get into the episode, I would like to remind you that I am supported by you guys on Patreon. If you would like to support the channel or the podcast, you can go to patreon.com/beatyourbacklog. You can support me there for $2 or $5. And if you do, you get all of the content 24 hours early, apart from this episode, because this is like an emergency episode. And you also get access to Beat Your Bonus, which is a kind of sister podcast that is just exclusive to Patreon. It has free episode. The third episode is releasing next week in it already. So there's some bonus content for you there. And as always, I would like to thank my patrons, Hoppel, Kazapi, and John from Gaming in the Wild, who actually kindly supported after he came on the show to do the interview. So thank you so much for your support. So without further ado, if you are a video viewer, I will now switch to my Nintendo Switch Direct playing. So if you haven't done so already, you can also go to YouTube and see my beautiful face. Hello. And right now, we have the Direct, and it of course started with Mario Kart World, as was revealed. We knew probably that Mario Kart was going to be here because they already showed us in the Switch 2 teaser back in January, and this was, for me, was one of the certs of kind of like, this is going to be a launch game. And a little bit later on, after this video of the game, they did tell us that yes, it is indeed going to launch on launch day, which we later find out was June the 5th. The takeaways from this was, it looks very, very pretty. I love that they added way more character to the game than how Mario Kart 8 Deluxe feels. I think it's like a new era for Mario, and we'll also talk about that a little bit later in Donkey Kong. If you listen to my review of Mario Wonder, I was saying that like the Mario kind of from like 2010 until 2020, 23 was very kind of sterile. Like, it was very like every game looked and felt and sounded the same, and it was very kind of safe. Like, this is a Mario game, this is the Mario branding, this is what Mario looks like and will continue to look like. And it kind of started to feel a little bit boring, and everything felt a little bit samey. And then they changed that up with Wonder, where they made Mario a little bit cuter. They made him look different, have different sound, a different voice actor. And it seems like they're going forward with that too here with Mario Kart. Like, it looks to me like there is way more character in the characters. It looks like a bunch of fun in the sense of like there is not just sort of the races in you're racing with your carts, but there's now more races, so you can race up to 24 players per circuit. There are jet skis, there are snow bikes, you can grind on railings, you can wall drive, you can even play as a cow, which I think is quite cool. And I think it's going to be interesting to see more and more sort of characters being added to the roster, who is going to be added. I think it's, yeah, like I don't know how many Mario characters there are, but it looks like literally any character will be a playable character in Mario Kart World, which is pretty cool. And yeah, as you can see in the video, it also looks like we can change outfits in the game. So this is also kind of like a new first for Mario Kart, that you can not just choose who your character is and customize your kart, but maybe possibly also be able to customize what your character is wearing. But at least from the gameplay, it looks a little bit like it's almost like a power-up, like Mario picks up a burger, eats it, and then changes his outfit. So I don't know if this is something that happens within races where you can change between different outfits, almost maybe like an addition to the items in Mario Kart, that yeah, you find food that changes you into your outfit, and then depending on your outfit you have a different ability. But still, it's cool. It's almost kind of necessary, I would say, that there are different outfits, because if there are 24 players per race, then players need to be able to tell the difference between one Mario and another. So having different outfits definitely helps with that too. And yeah, kind of going into the mechanics, like I said, it looks much prettier than the previous Mario Karts. It's also kind of so like it has like a big world. I think it's safe to say it's a big open world. They do say that you can pretty much drive anywhere. As you get into the details a little bit later on, there are different types of day, different types of weather, and the time of day and the weather affects basically how you race. So if it's wet, the race track might be a bit slippier. You might be doing more drifts rather than sort of having more control with your car. Like you can see on the screen here, it says you can drive anywhere. The Grand Prix, it's the same as always with the 4 different races, but now there is also a race between races, which is quite cool. So it's like you're kind of continuously just racing different players or different people all the time. So there's not really any downtime between the game, which is interesting because it makes me think, how is loading going to work? Like, is the loading going to be almost like pretty much consistent between the racetracks? We also have here the new mode Knockout Tour, which is basically this game's version of like a battle royale, where you are racing on one continuous long track across the entire Mario Kart world, and there are certain checkpoints along the way, and if you are behind, so if it says you need to be in the top 8 and you're 9th, if you don't get into the top 8 before that checkpoint, you'll be out of the race until eventually you get to 1 and that person is the winner, which is really cool. And then the final thing is the free roam section, which reminds me a lot of Forza Horizon. Like, you can just kind of go off-road, drive around. Also, you can do that with friends, which is really nice. There's a photo mode that you can use. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. There's a photo mode you can use, and you can see from the video play here, this game looks gorgeous, and I think it's great that there is a photo mode in it, just to show off how pretty it looks. And yeah, that's kind of everything that they announced so far. There is going to be a specific Mario Kart World Direct on April 17th, so we will find out more about it there. And I guess we can maybe talk about it now. But yeah, we found out after the showcase that this game is going to cost for physical, it's going to cost, was it $89.99, I think? And for the physical version, and $79.99 for the digital version, which is pretty steep for a Mario Kart game in my opinion, but we'll talk about that later. Then we kind of got in off of the hype of Mario Kart and went into the hype of what does the C button do. And yeah, I think this is quite, this is like, when people talk about the weird Nintendo decisions and them just kind of doing something that just seems completely out of place, this is this for this presentation and for the Switch too. So the C button stands for the game chat button, which you can press to basically play games with voice chat with friends, or Nintendo friends. And you can see if you're watching the video that, yeah, you get to see your main screen in the middle of the screen and then your friend screens that you're playing with underneath. And what's kind of cool is that you can watch gameplay from your friends in real time. So on the little screens below yours, you can see where your friends are in a game, what games they're playing. It can be done between different games, and this was one of those decisions where I was like, I cannot believe that they added this into the direct, because this just looked bad. Like, this just looks like something from 2015. Like, everything that they're saying, like in the video now, they're talking about the microphone, that the microphone will be able to pick up your voice from across a room, even if there's a blender going off in the background. There is no way that's going to happen. There is absolutely no way that this will work like this. And yeah, again, it reminds me of something that happened with Xbox with the Kinect, where they were like, oh yeah, you have this Kinect that you can talk to and it's fine. And also, yeah, there's a camera which somehow will pick up your face from across a room. Like I measured it out last night. From my sofa to where my Switch 2 will be is about 3 meters away. There's no way this camera would be able to pick up my face and then somehow place it in the middle of one of these little bubbles that we see later on in the Mario Jamboree section. So yeah, this is just like, it just seems very kind of reactionary to what happened in the pandemic, where people couldn't play all together in one space, which is, in that respect, it's cool. And I think the pandemic was a huge sort of boost for the Nintendo Switch, obviously with Animal Crossing. So I think they've really lent into those features. But software features like this, Nintendo just never seem to be really good at. Like, they just seem to kind of half-ass it. And again, this just feels old. It just feels so, like, out of date. Like, why would anyone use this instead of Discord? Unless you're a kid that doesn't have Discord. So it was just a bit of a weird thing. And as well, it kind of points out the craziness to me of Nintendo fans for how much hype there was over this goddamn C button online. Like, it's a fucking button on a Joy-Con. Who cares what it does? Why were people getting so excited for it? And at the end of the day, yeah, it's voice chat, which probably no one will ever use. So yeah, you can tell I'm a bit like baffled with this. It's very, very an interesting decision. Like, we haven't got to the camera yet on the display, but yeah, the camera, I made a joke in Discord that I'm very proud of, that it reminds me of the DSi camera, and I think it has the same resolution as the DSi camera. Strange decision. I think they're charging like €60 for the camera, which again, why would you buy it? I did see though that Hori, they're doing their own camera and it's in the shape of a piranha plant. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. At least it's kind of creative and inventive, and it's something kind of, if you can somehow use this for like a webcam on your desk, that's cool. Maybe I would buy that, and it's a lot cheaper. I think it's like €40. But why else would anyone want a camera like this pointing at them in the living room? Like it's just a weird thing. It just feels so out of touch. But yeah, anyway, it's a decision that I think was probably made during COVID. I can see some instances where it could be cool, like what they show later on in the Direct with Mario Party. But you do also need Nintendo Switch Online for it. So that's like another thing of like, if you want to actually use it, you have to pay for the online subscription, which makes it even more expensive, which is what we'll get into even more about later on in this podcast. But yeah, a strange Nintendo decision. We should have expected them, and I think it could have been a lot worse in this Direct with the Switch 2. Like, they could have done something in the hardware that really, like, this is all sort of optional. They could have put some weird decision into the hardware that isn't optional and you have to live with for the next 10 years. So yeah, it could have been worse. Then the next thing that they had was the game share system. So the game share system seems to be that, like, if you are within an area, a local area, or even online between Switch 2 users, you are able to share some games that maybe have multiplayer aspects to them. So they were showing off like a card game in the, I think it's like 51 classic games or whatever that's it's called. And yeah, this is like cool. This is something that I think the industry needs more of. Like, why, if you have a multiplayer game, I think it's great, or especially like a couch co-op game, it's great if you are able to share that with a friend locally. And the fact that you can do it online is great as well. The games that they have in the lineup that they show off is Captain Toad, Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, 51 Clubhouse games, Mario Odyssey, and Big Brain Academy. These games don't scream like massive multiplayer games to me. Like, obviously Clubhouse games, yeah, you can play that with friends. Mario Odyssey, I'm pretty sure you can play as the Cap. Mario 3D World and Captain Toad, I had no idea there was multiplayer in them. And Big Brain Academy, I've never heard of before. So I'm like, okay, maybe not the best lineup to start off with to try to push this feature. But it's cool that it's there for the people that use it. And, for some families, it might be helpful. If kids have a game, you only have to buy one of them instead of buying two. And yeah, that's the game share. So the next thing that comes up is then the Switch 2 specs, which I think was one of the biggest surprises of the Direct. There was a lot of discussion beforehand about the Switch 2 and how powerful it would be. And they started off by showing the new screen. It's a 7.9 inch screen compared to the Switch. The original Switch is 6.2, the OG Switch. But interestingly, they are the same thickness, the two displays. Then we got onto the resolution. It has a 1080p screen with up to 120 frames per second like refresh rate, which is awesome. This was a massive shock. I don't think anyone was thinking this. I think people were hoping, or at least I was hoping, handheld. I was like, if we can get 1080 30 FPS, I'd be happy. And if we can get 1080 60 FPS docked, I'd be happy. So this already blew my mind that they managed to do this. It says up to 120 FPS, so we'll see how many games actually managed to do that. Like they gave an example with one of Mario's jumps, so you can see way more of his frames. But we'll see what other games have it. Like they talked about the upgrade packs later on with Zelda. Will Zelda have 120 FPS? I doubt it. It probably has closer to 60, like a solid 60, and then maybe a bit higher. So we'll see how many games actually manage to go to 120, but it's cool that it's an option, and I would expect that some PlayStation, some Nintendo games will be able to do that, or because Nintendo knows how to design for this console. Then they showed off the HDR, which looks stunning. Again, another thing that people were hoping for, but not necessarily expected to be in it. They then showed off the Joy-Con sort of attaching to the Switch, that it's now done with magnets, so it's harder to remove. I don't know why we needed to do it with magnets, to be honest with you. I never had the issue that my Joy-Cons all of a sudden just flew out of my my Switch. Whatever. Maybe it's to help with like reducing the size of the bezel or something like that around the screen, which if that's the case, great. But I never really understand. I don't really understand the magnets attaching it to the Switch. And then they went through the Joy-Con 2s, that they have bigger buttons on top. They have a bigger joystick. It looks like in general the buttons, the face buttons are bigger. And then also that you can use it as a mouse, so you can turn it on the side, and the bumper button on top becomes a mouse button that you can click, and you can use two mice at the same time to play games, which we'll get into a bit later. Then they also talked a little bit about how their speakers have improved. Not necessarily that they added improved speakers, but they've rebalanced a lot of the sound that comes out of the speakers somehow to make it sound better. Then they talk about a little bit more about their mic that they've added, that it's going to be this magic mic that focuses on voice and cuts out game sound and noise sound. Again, I'll believe it when I see it, but I'll probably never ever use the mic on my Switch, to be honest with you. And then what was cool is that now the Switch also has kind of 3D visual sound. So if you're playing with headphones on, or you have a 3D setup, you'll hear if something's behind you, you'll hear it behind you, which is really cool. I was actually playing Slay the Princess yesterday, and it has that too. And there was a sound behind me, and I absolutely crap my pants. So I'm looking forward to that on the Switch too. And yeah, then the other features, I guess that it has a cool new stand, which is nice. I don't know anyone who needs to lie down the Switch on a table. Weird, maybe, unless you use it to draw or something like that, but I don't know why you would want to lay it back that far. We have the two USB-C ports, which is cool, so that now you can charge the Switch whilst it's in tabletop mode. That's like a nice kind of quality of life thing to have on the Switch 2. You can also obviously plug in the new camera, which is strange. I don't know why you wouldn't just plug the camera into your dock, because then every time you take your Switch out, you're gonna have to unplug it and then replug it in. Weird. Then we have 8 times more storage with 256 gigabytes of storage data compared to the original Switch's 32 gigabytes, which is nice. And they also talked about faster loading times, which is also great. That's the thing that really felt next gen to me about the PS5 and the Xbox Series consoles, that how quickly they load. And that's the thing that I think that makes the Switch feel ancient, is how slow loading is. Then we got onto the dock, and that it will run in 4K, or up to 4K, I guess. Looking at the back of the dock, it also doesn't look like there is a USB-C in, so you definitely can't, at least from the view I'm looking at right now, you definitely can't plug in the camera to the dock, which is weird. But what it does have, which is nice, is it has a built-in fan for cooling, which is great, because I remember when the Switch 1 first launched, there was the cases of it was overheating and then warping the Switch. So you would have this wonky Switch, like my original OG Switch is kind of warped like that. So it's nice that they put this in to help the cooling, to keep the thing cool and to stop the warping. And then they talked a little bit about the games, which I think we'll get into more often, or we'll get into more later, I should say, with the original Switch games that can play, and the other types of games too. So yeah, I would just say that like I'm really impressed with the hardware of the Switch 2. Like they said, it's not just an improved version of the Switch. They really like stripped the Switch down and then rebuilt it to modernize it. Which yeah, when we talk about the price, maybe justifies the price, maybe it doesn't for you. But we will talk about that later. Then we move on to the first, well, not the first, but the next sort of Nintendo published game that is going to be on the Switch, and that is the Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which, again, my thumbnail for this video is going to be Nintendo Greed, like that's part of the thumbnail. And I would say, yeah, like, this is one of the first instances where I was like, they are getting very greedy. Where basically this game is just a glorified virtual manual for the Switch, which gives you like tips on how to use it, or not even tips, just tells you how to use the Switch, like how to connect the Joy-Cons and where are the magnets. And it also has some sort of like tech demos and mini games that you can use the Switch's new kind of gyro and mouse functions for. This should have been free. Like I don't understand who is gonna buy this. Like really, like who, like other than Switch reviewers who buy everything from Nintendo, who is this for? Like why would anyone spend money on this? Unless it, even if it costs like €5, I wouldn't buy this. Like so yeah, this should have been free. That should have just been included, pre-installed on the Switch 2 as like a cool like get to know your Switch a little bit better. Here are some possible things that mechanics that the Switch 2 could be used for in the future, and also like kind of a bit like how Astrobot was, that it's like this nice free thing. That's the first thing I did when I turned on my PS5 was play that game, because it was short, it was cute, it was very nostalgic, like they did everything right. And then of course that turned into being one of the best games of 2024 last year. So it just feels a little bit greedy that they're like, oh, here is this product that you have to pay for, and then they didn't tell you how much they're going to charge for it. And I still don't know if they've actually announced how expensive it is. So yeah, another kind of strange Nintendo decision, but kind of leaning into let's just make as much money as we can out of this, I suppose. Which then leads on to the game cards and the micro SD cards and the micro SD Express cards. With that now the game cards look and are the same shape as the original ones for the Switch, but now they're red, and they are also faster. Like they load faster than the old ones. They load data faster. And because they load data so fast, you now need to buy a new micro SD card, a micro SD Express card, because to load your saves, they also need to load faster. So it's a bit like, basically PlayStation and Xbox like upgrading to an SSD kind of memory drive, and now this is, I guess, the portable version of that. So yeah, it does mean that if you fill up your 256 gigs of internal data, or internal memory, I should say, that you will need to buy one of these special SD cards. They don't seem overly expensive, like they're more expensive than the regular one, but I think you can get one with a good amount of data for like €60, so it's not too bad. But you got to think that it is like another expense that is adding up to all of the stuff that Nintendo wants you to buy after this Direct, so bear that in mind. And it also seems that like the physical, I don't quite understand it, but from what I read, it seems like the physical cartridge is more just like a key that lets you download the actual game. So I don't know how much is actually being loaded from the cartridge to say that it's going to be loaded quicker. And they're also charging like 10, at least with Mario World and Donkey Kong, they're charging €10 for the physical edition. So if it's just a key, why would I spend an extra €10 just to have a kind of nice looking box? Because they've also updated the box arts for the Switch now on my shelf. It's just, again, to me, it seems very much like they want to get rid of physical media with all of this stuff. That like, yeah, it's more expensive to get physical games, and really they're just a digital game that you unlock by putting in the cartridge. It seems very anti kind of physical. But yeah, anyway, talking about the data, you can transfer your data easily between Switch 1 and Switch 2, which is nice because, that's always kind of a scary premise sometimes, that you are like, okay, I need to transfer this data, and could be that stuff gets lost. Another thing they showed then next was the new Pro Controller, which looks very similar to the old Pro Controller, but it has the benefit of the brand new Game Chat button, the C button, and it has 2 rear panels, which is actually like a nice addition. Cool. like I wasn't expecting back panels on a Nintendo first party kind of accessory, but it's cool that they're there. Yeah, on top you have the regular buttons, and then underneath is now an audio jack. For some reason, I have no idea why. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, what is the benefit of having the audio jack if you have a built-in microphone to your Switch? I guess, yeah, why would you have it? Maybe you can hear the sounds through it. I don't know, weird. Yeah, so that was that. The Pro Controller, another one. I think it launches on the same day as the Switch, so you can pick it up on day one if you want one. But I did later on read that the Pro Controller for the old Switch will work with this Switch, which is nice. So that's another expense that you might be able to dodge if you don't want to spend another 70 or 80 euros on this new Pro Controller. So yeah, so then they announced that the Switch is coming out in June 5th, which is only 2 months away, just over 2 months away, which is really, really nice. I'm really happy for that. It'll be a nice summer with playing the Switch. And then they talked a little bit about the 3 different types of games that you can play on Nintendo Switch. So the first one is basically a Nintendo Switch 2 game, which will be exclusive to the Nintendo Switch 2. So this is along the lines of Mario Kart and Donkey Kong. So yeah, a Nintendo Switch 2 game that works on the Nintendo Switch 2. Then they told us about Nintendo Switch games that are compatible with Nintendo Switch 2. And then now there are Nintendo Switch 2 Edition games, which are basically Nintendo Switch games with an upgrade pack. And an upgrade pack is basically an extra cost or an extra charge, which gives you better resolution, better frame rates on older games, and little bits of extra content. So the first one they showed off was Mario Jamboree with the new mini games using the camera and the mouse. Not for me, I'm not a Mario Party fan, and I think this is kind of like showing this off as like, this is the reason you should get this. We should have mouse controls in a Nintendo console, and also you should have a camera and voice chat. Didn't really sell it. I could imagine that maybe it's fun doing this 1 or 2 times and then never ever doing it again and just sticking with the old Mario Party games. I do like that you can see each other's faces as you're playing the games. That's kind of cool. But again, the people in this video are sat in front of a white wall with the camera right in front of them, and I'm like, who plays video games like that other than like a streamer? So for regular people sat on the sofa, laid back, playing Mario Kart, that's not going to work. Not Mario Kart, Mario Party. Yeah, so there's that. They also showed off this Bowser concert thing. Can't remember what it's called. Hang on, let's scroll back in the video a little bit. But yeah, this is like a separate bunch of mini games that you can play. Is it Jamboree TV, I guess is what it's called, where you actually have to physically move around. So again, very Kinect-like. You have to move around to punch blocks. You have to use your voice to like hit bars on like a melody, kind of like on SingStar, and make a microphone move along. So yeah, again, probably something you'll do once and then never again, but kind of cool. And then the final thing they showed off was the kind of this roller coaster mini game, where it actually really reminded me of the Mario Kart ride in Nintendo World in Osaka at Universal Studios. In that game, it's the same thing. There's like 4 of you sat on a roller coaster, funnily enough, and you each have a gun, and you have these VR glasses on, or AR glasses. And as you look around, Goombas fly in, and you have to kind of aim with your gun and shoot them. And it's something like at the same time you're like racing Mario or racing Bowser. I guess you're on Mario's team. And yeah, and if you kill enough Goombas, you win the game, which everyone does. And then at the end there's like a leaderboard showing which team of 4 killed the most Goombas, or shot the most Goombas. I don't know if shot's any better, but yeah, whoever hit the most Goombas throughout the entire game. So yeah, it's very reminiscent of that. Yeah, and that's Mario Party Jamboree Nintendo Switch 2 Edition plus plus Jamboree TV. And I believe, I didn't write this down, but I believe these are all available day one on the Switch, which is nice. And, oh no, that's a lie. It's the 24th of July is when it comes out, which is interesting. So they're kind of, yeah, July is going to be quite a heavy month for it. But yeah, you can buy so if you own the Nintendo Switch version of Mario Party Jamboree, you can just buy the upgrade pack and get all of these benefits on Switch 2. But it's only on Switch 2. You can't buy the upgrade pack for the original Switch. Then they showed off The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom with enhanced resolution, frame rates. They also showed off that it has HDR and renders more vibrant colors. It looks smoother, it looks prettier. I'm interested, to see what the frame rate is and what the resolution is. And then he also showed Zelda Notes, which is quite interesting. At first, it came off seeming a little bit pointless. It was like, okay, we need to offer something that is more content. But I also don't think they did a very good job of showing off in the direct what this app actually does, because it just shows you like, oh yeah, if you need to find Korok seeds, the Apple tell you kind of like Google Maps how to get to one, which is weird. But there was some cool things in it, like there are voice memos, so around the map you will go into like a room and a voice memo might pop up, and it'll be the voice of Zelda telling you about something that happened in this room, which I think is quite cool. And there is also what was it, I wrote it down somewhere. Why did I write it? Sorry, my notes are quite long. Like I said, I think I wrote about 15 or 16 pages of notes yesterday. But yeah, there was one other thing that it did, which I can't remember what it was. Sorry, I'm stalling because I'm trying to read through it. What was it? There was something else it did. There's quite a few open questions. Okay, I can't remember. But yeah, so actually the app does a few things. Like it has like a section I remember like with stats, so you can see all of your stats, how long you played in the game, how many kilometers you traveled, sort of like, how many enemies you've killed, and then there's like global ones, so you can compare yourself to those. And what was the final thing? There was something else that I was like, oh, that's actually really cool that they added it. What was it? Oh, let me look at this. My play data. Yeah, there was. Oh yeah, that's one thing as well. That like now the new version will have 2 save files, so you can, if you want, you can start a new save file. You don't have to delete your old one, which is nice. There's a daily bonus that lets you log it. When you log in, you get a bonus. You can use your amiibo, and there was also a thing there, like if you keep using amiibos after 5 days of doing it over and over, you get a special prize. There's a photo studio which you can use to edit screenshots, and then there's also item sharing where you can send other people your items, which is pretty cool. And I think that's everything, but I'm sure there was like one more thing what I thought was very cool. Other than they also said that if you have Nintendo Switch Online plus the expansion pack, you get these for free on the release day of the Switch, which is really cool, because I still have never finished Tears of the Kingdom. I played about 40 hours of it, and kind of put it down and never went back, and was also, I'm waiting for the right time to go back. And now I'm like, okay, if I get this expansion pack for free, and if I manage to get a Switch on release day, that's probably going to be the game that I'm going to play, because I don't think I'm going to get Mario Kart, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So yeah, that's the upgrade pack for those 2 games. Then we had what was it, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, the Nintendo Switch 2 edition with plus Starcross World. Same as before, updated resolution, frame rates, and also some kind of gameplay twist. So it kind of feels a little bit like, what was it, Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, that there is like some additional content in the game, which is quite nice. So they showed that off quickly, and then they also showed off Metroid Prime 4 beyond the Nintendo Switch 2 edition. And the big thing here is that there is actually a performance mode, which gives you 1080p at 120 FPS plus HDR. Or there is a quality mode that gives you 4K at 60 FPS HDR. And I honestly, this was another big shock for me actually in this direct. I never thought we would have a performance and quality mode on a Nintendo Switch game. So this is really cool for those that want it. There's also mouse controls with this game. So if you're a first-person shooter and you prefer using the mouse, first-person shooter player I should say, and prefer using the mouse, you can do on this. It looks cool. I'm still on the fence on whether or not I'm going to get Metroid Prime. It seems that it's going to be cross-gen. So if it is, I have a voucher for, one of those Nintendo vouchers that you buy 2 and you save €20. So if it is, I'm going to use the voucher to get that game on the Nintendo Switch version, and then I'll pay for the upgrade pack to get it on the Switch 2 if I get a Switch 2. And then, or I might do it with this game, which is Pokemon Legends ZA, which again has the same thing. It has the better resolution, better performance, and that's it. I don't think there's really anything else that they said is going to be added, and yeah, that's it. and it seems like all of the games will be available as physical or digital versions. So if you want, you can just go and buy a physical version, or buy the kind of everything all in one place. So like, let's say you just bought a Nintendo Switch 2 and you never played Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, you can just buy the whole package at once on your Nintendo Switch 2. And if you do own these games previously, then you can just buy the upgrade packs too. I didn't see anything about the pricing of them. It makes me wonder how much the pricing will be. I'm hoping it's like €10, but knowing Nintendo now, it's probably going to be like between 10 and 20. But yeah, at least the Zelda games, you get them for free, which is nice. That's like a nice little perk of having the Nintendo Switch Online. But you do need the expansion packs for that, so that's not the basic one either. And then they got onto why did we include mice into our game. And the first game that they showed off was Drag times Drive, or Drag Multiply Drive, or Drag X Drive, which looks a little bit like I guess the best way to sum it up would be like Rocket League wheelchairs, or Wheelchair Rocket League, where you were playing like this I think it's called wheelchair rugby, and you use the dice to move your wheels backwards and forwards, and you can kind of like, rotate. So if you put your right arm down and your left arm up, you'll turn. And it's kind of like then basketball. So basically it looks like it's free versus free kind of basketball. You move via the mice to get into a good position to shoot, and then you actually have to throw using the kind of motion controls to shoot your ball into the basket. And this one I was actually really looking forward to what they were going to use the mice for. Looking at this, I was like, okay, this isn't necessarily selling me on it. Again, this, I think, in my opinion, I was like, they should have put this out for free. As like, here is like if you get a Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pass on a Nintendo Switch 2, you get this game for free, and you can try it out with your friends and play, and maybe that gets like people used to the mouse controls and also gets them hooked on the game, and then maybe the game could become this whole live service. It says it's coming summer 2025. They didn't actually say that it is going to cost anything, at least from what I've seen, so maybe it would be free. I hope so. If it's free, I'll definitely try it out. But it also makes me wonder, like, how do they think people are playing their games? Because, all of the examples that they showed is like people sat on an empty desk moving their mice up and down, and I'm like, no, like, who plays a Nintendo Switch game like that? Like, PC gamers, yeah, they sit at the PC and play, but they have a keyboard and mouse. But are you really going to sit there, like, put a desk in front of you and on the sofa or wherever you play it, and like sit there with two mice and move them around? Like, that's one thing that I was really surprised that we didn't see, that they were like, oh, here is like a table that you're supposed to use or something to be like, this is how you should use the mice. So yeah, we'll see kind of with bated breath how this plays out, if it will work or not. I'm not sold on the mice mechanics right now. Like, I think they are going to be helpful in very specific cases. Like, we'll talk about a little bit about Civ 7 later on. But this game didn't sell me on them. Like, I really thought they were going to come out on wowers with this, kind of like they did a bit with ARMS. But this Drag times Drive just looks really basic. Like, it doesn't look like a Nintendo game, to be honest with you. Like, the characters are dark. Everything's kind of dark and grungy. It looks very kind of cheap. Whereas ARMS was like this big, colourful, kind of memorable battle game with like awesome looking characters and colourful characters, and this just looks kind of grey and bland and boring, and all of the characters are just wearing helmets, so there's not really unique. It looks like there's like people in lobbies in the background just doing stunts, which is quite cool. But again, like, yeah, I don't really want to play this game. Like I said, I would check it out if it's for free, but otherwise I'm probably gonna skip it. And then that was kind of like the first section. Then they went into their first sort of third-party partner showcase, I guess, and they hit it off with a bang with Elden Ring. Really kind of coming out and making a statement that this console is, one, powerful enough to run this game that's already 3 years old, and two, like, we're here for the gamers. This is a gamer-ass game. If you're a gamer, you can play your gamer-ass games on the Nintendo Switch. Thank goodness. This isn't a child's console. Yes, we don't just have Mario, but we have Elden Ring. And as we'll see later, we have some more From Software stuff. Elden Ring's a great game. It says it's coming 2025. it's cool that it's here. Like, I feel like it should be here, to be honest with you, and it's nice that they were able to show it off. Then they showed off Hades 2 in a sort of like, yep, Hades 2, it exists and will come to the Switch one day, which was a little bit of a shame. I thought, like, if they were going to be here, they would have some sort of announcement, but there was really nothing. So that was a little bit disappointing, since, you know, they shadow dropped the original game on the original Switch back in 2020. Then they showed off Street Fighter 6 from Capcom, with like the year 1 and year 2 kind of bundle, I guess it is, with all of the characters that have come out so far. There's also some motion controlness to them. And also new amiibo, which was great. I was like, oh my god, completely forgot amiibo was a thing. So yeah, cool that they're getting amiibo if you like amiibo. But yeah, cool. Street Fighter 6 is a big game. I was really expecting when the Capcom thing popped up, I was really expecting Monster Hunter Wilds to be the thing that they would announce, but maybe that comes a little bit later. Then next up, they had Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion. And yeah, watching this, I was like, oh my god, what is this game? This looks really, really good. Like, you know, it's very anime, but I love like the kind of 3D-ness to the anime. Like, it's not like 2D kind of illustrations. It's like 3D rendered characters, which looks really, really cool. And I was really into it until basically they said it was Daemon X Machina. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that from the original Switch kind of launch window, and it being okay and not really setting the world on fire. But obviously it must have done enough, because it's getting a sequel. It looks good, it looks big, it looks expansive. Like your mechs look big, like the enemies you're fighting look big. It looks good. It looks really good. I can't believe how good it looks. So yeah, I'm kind of cool, happy for them. And it looks like it's releasing on the 5th of September 2025. Then we had the man who just seems to be in every single direct showcase, whatever, Jose Fares from what they called. What's it called? Not Hindsight. What's the company called? It has one of those names that is kind of sounds familiar to a lot of other names, but isn't. Here's Light. So, yeah, he is from Hazelight, and they are the people behind It Takes Two and now Split Fiction, and he was basically here to announce that, yep, Split Fiction will be live on the Switch 2 when it releases on June 5th. And it's cool. This is like, it already had this, I think, but it's because it's one of the, it's a game where it's two-person co-op, couch co-op, but you don't have to buy two versions of the game. So basically what the game share thing was from before. So yeah, perfect if you're a Nintendo Switch fan and you haven't played it yet. Apparently it's meant to be a really good game. And yeah, it's coming June the 5th. Then they show EA was here, like the most briefest of brief moments, where they just showed this video of like a piece of a grass field with Madden and EA Sports FC, saying, oh, they're coming. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, how good are they gonna be? Because the FIFA games that they released on the Switch were like, you know, terrible. Like, it was just the same version. They just updated the kits and the rosters, and that was it. So yeah, let's see how much EA want to get invested into the Switch too, because they weren't very invested in the Switch. Then we had WB showing off Hogwarts Legacy. I can't actually remember if Hogwarts Legacy came to the original Switch or not, but yeah, they showed it off. It's coming. It's going to have improved frame rates. There's going to be motion controls for doing the magic, which is a nice little add-on for the Nintendo Switch. But otherwise, it seems like it's the same game as before. It's a shame because they just cancelled all of the DLC for the game. So yeah, you know, cool. If you haven't no other console other than the Switch and you've been waiting to play it, now's your chance. But otherwise, yeah, I don't know. It's nothing impressive. Then next up, they showed off the new Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. Showing off the cool new, like, actually how good it looks. And this is the first bit of gameplay I've seen from it. I don't know if it's the first gameplay we've seen altogether, but it looks nice. And they showed off that there is like some kind of secret SpongeBob level at the end of it, which is kind of cool. I don't know how they managed to do that with who is it? It's Iron Galaxy, right, who are making it. Yeah, Iron Galaxy, and obviously Activision, and then above that Xbox. So people were saying, there's going to be like 3 or 4 Xbox games shown off in this. There wasn't. I guess there was technically one, and that was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater coming summer 2025, which I think is just the roadmap for everything. Then we had IO Interactive show off Hitman, the very long named, what is it? Hitman World of Assassination Signature Edition. Cool, it's coming to the Switch. But the cool thing is that at the end they teased their James Bond game that they're working on. Nothing there, just really a tease of a bullet being loaded into the chamber of a gun, and then a splash screen of Project 007. Developed and published by IO is interesting. I didn't realize they were publishing it. But yeah, that's what I'm most looking forward to. I'm not really a Hitman fan. But yeah, we'll find out more about James Bond when they're ready to show it. Then next up, there was a very anime-looking, like, kind of cartoon, like, I don't know how to say it, like anime. I mean, anime is a very broad spectrum. But a very kind of like cartoony-ish anime thing where when we were in the Discord, we were like, oh my god, is this the Final Fantasy IX remake? No, it's not. It is Bravely Default, the Flying Fairy HD remake. Yeah, I believe these games were on DS or 3DS, at least the first one. So it's kind of cool that they brought it over to the Nintendo Switch 2, because I know people love these JRPGs. I'm not one of them, but for those people that do love them, congratulations, it's now on the Nintendo Switch 2. Then they showed off Yakuza 0, what was it, Director's Edition or Deluxe Edition? Where is it? I have it written down here. Yeah, the Yakuza 0 Deluxe Edition that has some newly added cutscenes and also releases the same day as the Switch. Also, it looks really nice. I assume since it's Yakuza 0, this is like the entry level to the series. So this might be my time to get into it. I know, Hoppel, if you're listening, you'll be able to tell me the best game to get into the Yakuza series. But yeah, I assume 0 is the very first one, which is cool. So yeah, that was the partner showcase, the first one anyway. And they already then showed off, what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 games that were coming to the Switch relatively soon. All of them seem to be like either start of the June launch or like around the summertime. Then they went into another what was it, like third party game developed in like, how did they say, in partnership with Nintendo, and then the Koei Tecmo logo popped up, and I started to lose my shit because I knew it must be a Warriors game. And then we saw the first splash screen of it, the splash art, and it is of course Hyrule Warriors, I guess 3. They don't really number them, but Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, and god, this game looks gorgeous. I'm a massive Warriors fan. I mean, I don't play them that much, but I got really into the last Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. And I was really hoping that another one would come soon. That game had some really bad frame rate issues at times, but it was nevertheless like a great game, like a great kind of side story to Breath of the Wild. And this looks like it's going to be the same thing, but for Tears of the Kingdom. It's set before Tears of the Kingdom. That's why Link isn't in the video, in the gameplay at least, I would guess. And yeah, it's kind of cool that there's like the kind of freezing time aspects to it. And yeah, it's just I just like Zelda. I like this. I like Breath of the Wild. I like Tears of the Kingdom. I want to explore those worlds as much as I can. And even though I didn't finish Tears of the Kingdom, to be fair, but yeah, and I like these kind of these warrior games where it's kind of just mindless fun. You go in, you're killing hundreds and hundreds of enemies at a time. You kind of sort of strategically taking over a map, even though it's not really that strategic. But yeah, on the video, I just want to show that there's one part where she walks through some grass, like this if you're watching the YouTube, and I'm like, oh, it's such a beautiful game. Like, I can't wait to play this. And we won't have to wait too long. It's coming out in winter of 2025, so that's nice. Also, when the original one released, I think it was also like November-ish in 2021 or 2. Yeah, so that was a big surprise. I didn't have this on my kind of bingo card for the Nintendo Direct, but I am very happy it is here. Then we moved on to basically explaining how the Nintendo Switch Online would work. More or less, it works exactly the same as it does on Switch. If you have Nintendo Switch Online and the expansion pack on Switch, it will go over to Switch 2 and you'll have all of the same perks. But, and it's a big but, you will also get one massive perk, and that is the GameCube Classic Edition, Collection, whatever they call it. Finally, we're getting GameCube games on the Nintendo Switch 2. And it is only on the Nintendo Switch 2, which is a bit of a pain in the ass, because if it's very hard to get hold of a Nintendo Switch 2, you won't be able to play GameCube games at launch, which is annoying. So they showed off some GameCube games that are coming on the launch. The first one was The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, and that kind of puts to bed, at least for now, where these HD remakes are. I personally still think we will get the HD remake of Wind Waker, because, and it's kind of a simple reason really, because Nintendo loves making money. And they can give you this now and say, here you go, here's like a little morsel to chew on, here's the original game. It does have better resolution and frame rate than the original game. I think this is something to do with like the technology, right? That like it can automatically up-res stuff with AI. So that's nice, that's great. And you can also remap your controls so that if you don't like the old control layout, you can remap it to a more modern feeling one, which is great for this. But they're like, here's this. Shut up, stop asking us for it. And then in 2 or 3 years, we're like, oh, here's a HD remake. It now costs 60 or 70 euros. And of course, we will all buy it. So, yeah, I wouldn't rule out the HD remake now. They obviously have it. They have it on the Wii. They had it on the Wii U. And you've seen how often they can port Wii U games and how kind of relatively easy it seems to be for them to port it. So, yeah, we will get it eventually. What I think is exciting is that this probably opens the door for the Ocarina remake that everyone has been saying is rumored, because they're like, well, here is Wind Waker on the GameCube. The Zelda game for this year is obviously going to be the Hyrule Warriors one, and then so maybe next year they're like, okay, here is not just a HD remake or remaster of Twilight Princess or Wind Waker, but here is a full remake of Ocarina, which would be awesome. But let's see. So yeah, that was the first game they announced. Then they also announced Soul Calibur 2, which is cool, especially with its kind of online aspect. I never played Soul Calibur 2, but I know, like, you know, it's kind of like a legendary fighting game, so that's kind of exciting that I've got a chance to play it now, and it looks really good on my screen at least. I don't remember these games looking that nice, but now, at least with this kind of up-res graphics, it looks cool. Link is in it, which is awesome. And the final game that they announced for launch is F-Zero GX, which seems to be the first F-Zero with a story. And again, it looks great. It's going to be the first F-Zero... is it F-Zero? It is F-Zero, right? Yeah. F-Zero game on the Switch. I guess not technically, because there was F-Zero 99. But it's awesome. There's 4-player online co-op as well with it, so you can go up against your friends. And yeah, this is like a good starting lineup. You can also, yeah, like I said, change controls. You can save whenever you want. And then they also went on to announce that more titles will be added soon. And those titles, what they at least showed, were Mario Sunshine, Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, Mario Smash Football, Chibi Robo, Luigi's Mansion, and Pokemon Colosseum. And that is, I think this is like awesome. Like this is really, I think, a very sort of consumer friendly thing from Nintendo, because I know Fire Emblem Path of Radiance is very expensive to buy second hand on GameCube. Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness is very, very expensive. I think if you were to buy that from like a like a second-hand retailer like CEX in the UK, that would be like £250. And Pokemon Colosseum is another one that's getting up there now. So it's nice that these games are going to be coming. There's going to be a more accessible way to play these games other than having to chase down kind of aftermarket prices for them, which is really, really cool. And I think it's cool that they showed them straight away. They didn't be like, oh, here's a breadcrumb, here's free games. We wait and see what's going to happen. They're like, here's the free games. Here's what's coming in the future. These are big games that we know people want and need on the GameCube, because it's really hard to play them otherwise. So yeah, I thought that was great. I just don't like that it's only on the Switch 2, because if you can't get a Switch 2 at release date, you can't then play Wind Waker. And then finally they showed off that they are releasing, like they did with the NES and the SNES, that there will be and also the 64, right? There will be a separate modern GameCube controller, a wireless one with a C button now, that you can buy to play play your GameCube games, which was awesome. So this is one of the highlights, along with Hyrule Warriors. This was like one of the highlights of the direct for me. I was really hoping for GameCube, like I've been hoping for a while, and I think they're doing it in the right way, which is awesome. And I'm so happy Wind Waker is going to be on there. I would have preferred the HD remake first, but I'm happy that there's just somewhere to play it because I'm like really craving to play it. So that all launches the same day as Switch 2, the GameCube. The GameCube, what do you call it? The GameCube Classic Collection, and you will also be able to play all of the other classic collections: the Game Boy, Super Nintendo, SNES, etc. After that, then they went on to another sort of tirade of partner showcases. First one up was Deltarune. Yes, it's finally here. Deltarune chapters 3 and 4. Deltarune is coming tomorrow. Big one for me because I just played chapters 1 and 2 because I was expecting this announcement to come at some point. I'm very happy. It's going to be, it looks like chapters 3 and 4 will be releasing on the launch day of the Switch 2, which is pretty cool. Maybe before it, they weren't really that clear. Very happy for this because I really love Deltarune, and looking forward to playing chapters 3 and 4. Then they had Randy Pitchford on telling us about Borderlands 4. That's basically it, that he said Borderlands 4 is coming to Switch, shilling it like he always does. Whatever. Then there was Civilized 7, which I think is already out on Switch, right? But it will have some improvements, so it supports the mouse controls. There will be a Nintendo Switch 2 edition, which supports mouse controls, and it launches the same day as the Switch 2. And then the final thing was there was WWE 2K and NBA 2K basically just saying, yep, we are going to come to the Switch, and okay, cool. Then they went through a sort of plethora of survival games. The first one they showed was Survival Kids, which is like, it looks like a 4-player co-op survival game. Looks a little bit weird. It reminded me of a cheap mobile game that had been up-res for the Switch. Which then also kind of got me thinking, because it's obviously for kids, and this entire direct, there wasn't really many games that you would say these are obviously kids games. Like Mario Kart, okay, it's a kids game, but it's also like a game, right? And then the what do you call it, the World Tour thing at the start, that's why you could say maybe for kids, but I don't think kids would play that because it just seems like a manual. This is the first one where I'm like, okay, this is for kids, and that's about it. And after this, I don't think there's that many other games, which was quite interesting. Anyway, Survival Kids. It's also where the stream froze for a while, which was very unlucky, because imagine you're the developers of this game. You're like, this is our moment. We're on a Nintendo Switch 2 direct. Like, we're on like a historical direct. And then when your game gets shown, it gets frozen, which is really annoying. But luckily, the stream works now, so watching it back, it's not so bad. Then we got to see Dodge Roll show off Enter the Gungeon 2. Enter the Gungeon is one of my favourite roguelikes. Looks like they have made the step up into 3D, a bit like Moonlighter is doing this year. And Enter the Gungeon 2 is great. Basically, that was the announcement that it exists and it's going to be in 3D. There was a little bit of gameplay. We'll see how the transition to 3D goes, because the 2D-ness was the 2D bullet hell was a lot of the game's design there. So the switch to 3D will be interesting. And then they also then showed off Star Seeker Astroneer Expeditions. I don't know if this is to do with the Astroneer series, it's another looks like co-op survival game. This time you're in space with some farming elements. Looks kind of generic, I would say, but it's kind of interesting because it's published by Devolver. So Devolver usually pick out great games. So we'll see. Keep an eye on this one. It's could be a good one, and it's coming in 2026. Then we had CG Projekt Red turn up and show us Cyberpunk 2027 Ultimate Edition coming to the Switch when it releases, and it looks like it has the recent DLC. I can't remember the name of the DLC, but it's the one with Idris Elba. So it looks like that everything is in one package there. So again, if you're a Switch fan and that's your only console and you're getting the Switch 2, now you have the option to play Cyberpunk. I still have it on my PlayStation from years ago, which I should play, but haven't got around to it yet. And then we had another big one. We had Final Fantasy VII Remake, Intrigate. These game names are just crazy long, because they're all just remakes of remakes. the names just get preposterously long. Can we please cut down back to like just 1 or 2 words for some games, please? But yeah, anyway, Final Fantasy Remake is coming to the... So this is the first game in the remake trilogy, in case you don't know, plus all of the DLC it got. Yeah, it's coming to the Nintendo Switch. I don't think they actually said when. But yeah, cool that it's coming. It's an important game, right? Like, it's currently exclusive just to PlayStation and I think PC. So it's coming to consoles, or at least the Switch, maybe not Xbox, let's see. But yeah, cool that it's coming. And then after that, they kind of showed a very quick, like choppy, like snappy, I should say, not choppy, sizzle reel. So the first one is Kunutsugame Path of the Goddess, releases the same day as the Nintendo Switch. Then they showed off Silk Song for about 10 seconds with no new update other than it is coming this year. And no real, I would say, thing of note in the video. Like, that it was literally on the screen for a couple of seconds and went. But at least we got the update that it's coming 2025. Then they showed off Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar coming August 27th, the Nintendo Switch 2 edition. A game called Good Night Universe, which looks interesting. It looks like you play as like a baby with psychic powers. Coming 2025 by Skybound Games. Then we have 2 Point Museum, also coming 2025 by Sega. We have Wild Hearts by Koei Tecmo America, coming July 25th. This is like the Monster Hunter kind of clone. Witchbrook, which we also saw recently somewhere. I think it was in the Humble Direct, coming holiday 2025. And then Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S, which reminds me of like when the Switch originally released, because Puyo Puyo Tetris was on it. That is coming, when is that coming? I missed that one. On launch day, which is nice. And then we have Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma, releasing on, when is that? It's just a Nintendo Switch 2 edition, also releasing on launch day. And Marvel Comic Invasion, which we saw in the Direct last week, coming winter 2025. Star Wars Outlaws, another big game. Actually, yeah, okay. I wanted to talk a bit about Ubisoft later, but saying that they weren't here, but they did have this one game, so I need to remember that when I talk about it later. But yeah, coming 2025. And then they kind of like zoomed out to the Switch, and I was like, okay, cool, it's finished. And then they zoom back in, like, here's more games. So they have Nobunaga's Ambition Awakening Complete Edition launching on the launch day. Fast Fusion, which looks like an F-Zero like, launching on Switch launch day. Shadow Labyrinth, which is the Pac-Man like horror game. The Nintendo Switch 2 edition is launching on the 18th of July 2025. Then they showed Raidu Remastered, The Mystery of a Soulless Army, coming on the 19th of June, which they also showed off in the Direct last week. No Sleep for Kaname Date from AI The Somnium Files, also shown off during the Direct last week, coming on the 25th of July. Again, another one with a stupidly long name. Then we have Reanimal, which is the game from the original Little Nightmares devs, coming 2025. Fortnite will obviously be there on launch day. Then we had Archives 2, Ridge Racer coming on launch day. Professor Layton and the New World of Steam, which looks really nice. I love the graphics in it. I have not played a Professor Layton game before. I'm trying to get it up on YouTube. For God's sake, man. 1 second. There it is. Also looks really nice. That is coming in 2025. Then we have Tamagotchi. How did they pronounce it in the Direct? They pronounced it really weirdly, right? Anyway, Tamagotchi Plaza, Nintendo Switch 2 edition, coming the 27th of June. And then Human Fall Flat 2 coming soon. And God, there is a lot of games. So we had 12 before, like partners, right? And now we've had, how many have we had? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So 31 partner games that they showed off during the during these kind of sizzle reels that they had. And then we got into, which I think was the biggest surprise of the Direct. I think it was a thing that was like a massive surprise that like no one, I don't think, guessed beforehand. You know, there were some pretty outrageous guesses for the Nintendo Switch Direct. There always is for Directs, which are just like unrealistic, unbelievable, like obviously not going to happen. But a FromSoft exclusive game on a Nintendo Switch 2 I don't think anyone could have guessed for. Like, anyone would have guessed that beforehand, unless you kind of like, wouldn't it be funny if there was a FromSoft game? But yeah, it's happening. The Dustbloods. It looks pretty cool. Like, I mean, like I said, I'm not a FromSoft person, but I do love like the very gothic sort of industrial revolution looking London here, with the cathedrals, the spires, like the kind of their take on the Houses of Parliament. And it's kind of interesting because the game seems to be it seems to be based around a sort of like a weapon, like a gun combat. Like, you see the guy here has rifles and a semi-automatic weapon. And I think it's kind of interesting because they were showing off characters. So it makes me wonder if maybe you're going to be playing as different characters throughout the game with different fighting styles, or if these are just people that you fight against. But yeah, as always, it's a FromSoft game, so it's very mysterious. But it looks very pretty. Like, they showed a couple of glimpses of gameplay and of like the character jumping off of a roof. And it does look really, really pretty in that very FromSoft way. And just weird and wonderful. Like, here we have this knight in like, he looks like he's in the power armor from Fallout, basically, flying with a jetpack. Like, just so many questions. Like, how did this come to be? It's directed by what's he called? Hidetaka Miyazaki. So the guy behind Dark Souls and Bloodborne. It's coming 2026, and it will only be on the Nintendo Switch 2, which is wild. Again, no one would have guessed this beforehand. People, as we were watching it, we were like, is this Bloodborne 2? What is this? But obviously it can't be Bloodborne 2 because that's a Sony IP. So, yeah, complete shock, complete surprise. Very, very cool for the system. Again, gets the gamers with the capital G in to be like, this console isn't for babies. You can play your Dark Souls games here, your FromSoft games. We don't just have Elden Ring, but we have this exclusive one, which is crazy. I wonder if it will come to PC or if it's literally just for Nintendo Switch, because that will force a lot of people to buy Nintendo Switches, I think. I don't know what else to say. It looks like there's some multiplayer aspect to it as well, actually, or co-op aspect, which is cool. But no, just a complete shock. This was the thing where I was like, no one would have guessed this. So yeah, very, very cool. And then the next thing that no one would have guessed is that just after spending a lot of time announcing Mario Kart, like their new flagship kart racer game, they then announced that there is going to be another kind of kart racer game with a character that is possibly less well known and less exciting than Mario, with Kirby in Kirby Air Riders. And I know Kirby Air Rider was a popular game back on the GameCube, I think. And it's another one where it has like a kind of stellar director behind it, with Sakurai doing it, you know, the guy who does all of the Smash games. I actually, when I started watching the video, I thought it was Smash. I thought they're like, oh my god, they're doing it. Like, first it'll show Kirby and then someone else, like Link will fly in, and then Mario, just because of the sound effects. But then it makes sense that Sakurai is the one developing it. And it just seems a weird decision. Like, why are they doing another kind of kart game, racing game, with a less interesting or less important IP? My theory is that like Sakurai was just kind of like, I need a break from Smash and I want to do this, and they were like, okay, cool, if you will make us more Smash games in the future, then you can do what you want. So yeah, interesting choice. It's coming 2025 apparently, which is very cool. Again, Mario World and Mario Kart, well, we should say Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the kart racer game, right? And now it's been replaced by Mario World, which seems to be like a couple of levels up. And then to have this, I'm like, what is this for? Like, who is this for? But yeah, I mean, it's one of those games that I, just because of Sakurai, that probably am willing to try out. But this isn't the game I would have wished Sakurai to make, really. Like, I would have preferred him to do a standard, either kind of Kirby platformer or a Kid Icarus game. Or a new game, something else. I'm like, I don't feel like I don't even want to buy Mario Kart 8, to be honest with you. Not Mario Kart 8, Mario Kart World. I don't then also want to have to buy another kart racer that I'm probably going to spend maybe 10 hours playing and then be like, I'm never playing this again. Like, I've done the thing, I've raced the game. I don't know. They're not for me. Interesting decision. Like I said, I think it's very much just like he wanted to make it, and they were like, okay, fine, you can do it. You have enough kind of goodwill within this company. You've done enough for us. You can do whatever you want, and which is cool. If that's the case, if it's a passion project, then obviously those projects tend to come out being like new and creative and innovative. So maybe it builds on something that we haven't seen before, which I really hope it does. But yeah, let's see. Anyway, that gets us on to the very final announcement of the show, and that was Donkey Kong Bonanza, I think you pronounce it. And wow, and again, like I do not care about Donkey Kong at all, really. Don't care. I'm like, this guy should have been left in the 80s, you know? He's a monkey, a gorilla, I guess, with no teeth and a tie. Like, why do I want to play a game about him? But after watching this video, this trailer, I'm like, this is my most anticipated game now for 2025. This will be the first Switch 2 game I buy on the Switch 2, because look at him. He's just so glorious. Like he looks so characterful and like interesting to play. Like, you know, I was saying before about that with Mario and the area. I'm leaning back in my chair now, if that's what you can hear, because I want to get close to it. Yeah. There was that stage with Nintendo where the characters were very much like standardized. Like, this is how Donkey Kong always looks. This is how Mario always looks. These are the characters that interact with Mario. It's always Toad. It's always Princess Peach. It's always Luigi. These are the characters that interact with Donkey Kong. It's always Diddy Kong. It's always Grumpy Kong. It's always Paulina. And that's it. And the worlds always just look the same. They just look like bland geometric areas with like some kind of different colored grass or whatever. But then looking at this looks, again, just looks so vibrant and colorful and interesting, and like it looks good. Like, that's one thing I was saying once as we were live reacting, that it's the first time I've ever really watched a direct and been like, oh my god, these games actually look nice. Like, they look like games I'm gonna look forward to actually playing for the visuals. So I'm really happy with the Donkey Kong announcement. I really didn't care about Donkey Kong at all before this. I was like, yeah, whatever, it's Donkey Kong. He's not an interesting character, but the new character design, like the kind of the graphics, like how he looks furry. Like, I feel like he's never really looked furry before in this way. The other character designs look really interesting. Like, his facial animations look fun. Like, he just looks like fun, and the game with you kind of going around and smashing things up just looks like a game that I want to experience. And it's going to come out really soon on the 17th of July, which is 17th of July, which is awesome. Because I go on paternity leave the week before that, so I will maybe have some free time to play it then, which is cool. But yeah, so that was kind of the direct. And when we finished, actually no, they announced that there were two different SKUs for the Nintendo Switch. There is the regular one without without Mario Kart, and then the one with Mario Kart. And it's just kind of like, I think a very interesting direct. Like, they showed off a lot, like really a lot. Like, a lot of questions were answered. Oops, sorry, I just went onto the wrong screen. They showed off a lot, like they answered a lot of questions, but also left a lot of questions open, I should say. But my kind of general conclusion is I think it's really, really good. Like, it had like stuff that we knew that was coming with Mario Kart, and obviously the Switch 2 specs. It had some stuff that we thought might be coming. With people thought Donkey Kong was going to be coming. People thought, like Elden Ring would appear. Like, these third parties would appear. So it's kind of like, okay, there's the stuff we know, the stuff that we think, and then there was stuff that we didn't know, and that was like Hyrule Warriors for me. And then of course, what's it called, Dire Bloods or whatever, the FromSoft, Dusk Bloods from FromSoft, and those were surprises, and those were big surprises. And I think that's something that's what makes a good direct, is that like having something that not even people can imagine be there is amazing. So how the FromSoft game is really, really cool. Nintendo also really went out of their way to show off third parties and be like, look, all of these games are supporting the platform. A lot of them are going to be live on the release day, and basically, like, yeah, this platform has games, high quality games, high resolution games in 4K, running at steady, good frame rates. And even though most of these games were just ports of games that have come out years ago, it's kind of nice to see them be on the Switch too. And I think that probably just summarizes, or is like a good sort of similarly for the Switch 2. That this console is like, it is a cool console, but it is still years behind the other consoles. But for people like me, I don't really mind that. I think, going on about the specs and the resolution, the 1080p screen with up to 120 frames, the 4K, games having performance mode and quality modes. That's like the level that I'm at. Like, I'm like this. I don't really want to go more than that, to be honest with you. I'm like, this looks good enough to me. So it's kind of cool that they, even though some of these games are older, they will be running hopefully well on a Nintendo Switch 2. Two things that I did not actually was one that Ubisoft wasn't really there other than Star Wars Outlaws. If I'd bet on the Direct, I would have said they will definitely be there showing off Just Dance and maybe even a new IP with a Nintendo IP, kind of like they did with Mario and Rabbids. But the only thing that they had there was Star Wars Outlaws, so that maybe shows the signs of the times for Ubisoft, that they've kind of fallen that low, that they're not even supporting Nintendo at launch, which they've always done. And also I thought there was not that much indie representation there. We got a glimpse of Hollow Knight Silksong. There was a trailer for Deltarune's chapters 3 and 4, but that was mostly it. And I really kind of hope that, the reason that they didn't show off that many indies was because they had so many first-party games to show and also a lot of third-party partner games to show. So I'm really hoping they do some kind of an indie presentation or indie world presentation a little bit later on that shows off the indie games that are releasing on the Switch 2 too, because I think those are important, and especially because indies really help keep the Nintendo Switch alive in that first year and help make it successful. So I hope they give indies a little bit of love too. And then also, it's kind of a bit interesting. There was a lot of IPs not there that people were maybe expecting to be there. So there was no 3D Mario that I think a lot of people were expecting. There was no rumored Fire Emblem remake, no Star Fox, no Zelda remakes, which we thought might be coming. The list can kind of go on and on and on. Like, I think for every Switch IP or Nintendo IP, there was some rumor that it might be there, but there wasn't that many. But yeah, like, it might be that, like, maybe people weren't really asking for a lot of the games that were shown. For example, a 3x3 kind of wheelchair mouse controlled game, or a Hyrule Warriors. I was asking for that, but not everyone else would be. But I still think, they're nevertheless kind of interesting looking games, and I really can't wait for Hyrule Warriors. Plus, the GameCube coming to the Nintendo Switch Online is really, really big, even if it means that we may not be getting the Wind Waker HD remake on Switch 2 for a while. But yeah, it's still a massive thing. It still gives us a way to play these old games, which is really, really important. And last week at the Direct, we saw some very shaky looking games running on the original Switch, especially Pokemon ZA. So it's kind of cool that they showed those off in the Switch 2 Direct, and we're like, okay, these games will run better on Switch 2, even if you have to pay for them to look better or run better. Predominantly, my biggest concern was Pokemon ZA. Like I said, it didn't look great in the Direct last week, but here it at least looked like it was running nicely, which is good, and that's all I basically want from it, is like a steady frame rate and to be able to play it handheld in 1080p. And just looking forward then, like summarizing what Nintendo showed and for the rest of the year, it looks like in June they're going to have Mario Kart World, Nintendo Switch Online GameCube, and probably this Nintendo Switch 2 World Tour game. July, they have Donkey Kong Bonanza. In summer, they have Drag Times Drive. And then in winter, they have Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment and Pokemon ZA. Metroid seemingly still has no release date, so Metroid will be in there somewhere, probably in the summertime, I would guess. But still, there is no real big game for autumn or winter. I wouldn't class Hyrule Warriors as like their kind of seasonal game, their holiday game. So maybe this is something that could be announced later. Maybe this is where the 3D Mario game could come in if it exists. Or maybe it could be the Zelda Ocarina remake. I don't think it will be. I don't think they'll put a Zelda game out so close to Hyrule Warriors. But yeah, this might be that one of those other IPs that people were expecting to be shown here might appear later on. So maybe there'll be during Summer Game Fest, there'll be another Direct where they're like, okay, the launch is over, the launch window is kind of ending. This is what you can look forward to for the rest of the year. Even though Pokemon ZA is a big game, but it's still not like a mainline Pokemon game that you can really hang your holiday season on, I would say. So it's going to be interesting to see how they roll out the whatever else they're working on. And I think the most annoying thing about the Direct was they left a lot of questions unanswered. And the biggest one was, how much is this fucking thing going to cost? Afterwards, then it started to trickle out the price. So in the US, the regular Switch is going to cost $449.99. And with the Mario bundle, it will cost $499.99. In the UK, it will cost £395. And the bundle will cost £429. And in the EU, we get the short end of the stick. The regular version is going to cost €469.99, and the Mario version will cost €509.99. So for some reason, it seems to be more expensive in the EU. I know in the US it's before taxes and tariffs, but that's annoying. My kind of initial thought was like, this is expensive, especially for EU players like me. However, going back through the specs, I think I was originally kind of like, for €400, I will buy the Switch. And that will be, like I said, with a 1080p screen running at 60 and a 1080p dock running at 60, hopefully. Or a 1080p screen running at 30, I should say. So going through the specs, I'm like, this is actually like a nice piece of hardware. I do still think it's expensive because you can go and pick up a PS5 for €499 now. Or even like around release date, that's how much a PS5 was. So when you think of it like that, you're like, okay, it's kind of impressive that they have similar hardware packed into like this tiny handheld device, or not tiny, but this handheld device. But yeah, I think I've kind of gotten around to like, okay, it is more expensive, but maybe it should be worth it, because I feel like we're getting a lot more tech than I originally thought. No OLED version, which is a shame. Like, looking at these prices, I'm like, yeah, I probably couldn't have afforded the OLED version anyway. Like, that probably would have been, probably $550 to $600 when it released. But it would have been nice to have the option, because it would make me skip like an upgrade later on, because eventually they will release one and I will buy it and be like, okay, well, what do I do with my old Switch now? Now I have to, should I sell it? Should I trade it in? What to do? I would rather just be able to buy one from the start. I had the experience already with because the next question, I guess, is how easy will it be to buy the Switch? I had the experience today already, which I remember having with the PS5, that I went through all of my websites, put all of my notifications on my phone, put alerts on my phone for like, if Nintendo Switch 2 pops up anywhere on a store, let me know. And had it in MediaMarkt Austria, where I got the alert, clicked on the link, put it in my basket, went to pay, and then got to the checkout. I was like, oh no, sorry, it's gone. So this is, I hope it's not going to be this as bad as it was for the PS5. But yeah, this is the concern now, is how easy is it going to be? I'm not entitled through the Nintendo Switch, kind of through Nintendo My Nintendo, to get invited to pre-order one, because I don't have Nintendo Switch Online. I thought I did have it, but I must have cancelled it at some point in the last 2 years, which means, I've kind of lost that option. So now it's going to basically be either like trying to chase down online pre-orders, or turn up to a store on the release day and hope that I can get one, or having to wait a couple of months until I get one, which, I mean, it is what it is. That's why I'm a bit kind of like miffed, or a bit annoyed that the GameCube version is linked on, is blocked on the Switch 2. So you can only get it on the Switch 2, because I would have liked to have been able to play Wind Waker on June 5th if I didn't get a Switch 2. But yeah, that might not be the case. So we will see how that goes. And I guess if you're a regular listener to the podcast, or if you're in the Discord, you will find out how that goes for me in the next couple of weeks and months. So I don't think the console is that badly priced, but the games, on the other hand, I wrote here, Nintendo, the money-grabbing bastards. So we have Mario Kart on the Nintendo Germany and Austria site is currently saying for digital €79.99, and for physical €89.99. Donkey Kong Bonanza is digital $69.99 and physical $79.99. So this new pricing of all games are now €70 hasn't lasted very long. Nintendo are going one further to be like, oh well, our digital games are now 70 to 80, and if you want to buy them physically, you have to pay an extra €10. Like, it's always been in my head like, digital games should be cheaper than physical games. but not like this, where it's like, okay, now we're making digital games even more expensive, and then the physical are even more expensive than that. It should be like physical should be 70, digital should be 60 or 50, something like that. So this is a bad thing for the industry, I think, in a sense, or at least a bad thing for the consumer, because everyone was worried that GTA 6 was going to be the first to push the price up to €100, which now I think they will definitely do. Like, why wouldn't they? If Nintendo are selling games for nearly 90 for the physical, why wouldn't they sell the base game for 100? So people are going to follow this, and it's going to be either good or bad. I think for some people it will be bad. I think Ubisoft will take this straight away and be like, we're doing this now, and but it'll backfire because their games don't seem to be like, as good a quality that warrants this price. And yeah, like I said before, it really feels like Nintendo are trying to actively get rid of physical media, especially since the cartridges just seem to be like keys to unlock the digital download, and they're charging you extra money for it, and they made the new boxes look really ugly. I really don't like the new boxes, the red ones. And then we get onto some other peripherals that you might want. The Pro controller is €89.99. The GameCube controller is €69.99. That would have been funny if it was $69.69. The camera is $59.99 for a camera that looks like it has like 10 megapixels. So I actually did a bit of math here where I was like, okay, going into this direct without knowing, or coming out of the direct without knowing the price, I was like, I want to get the Switch 2 with Mario. I want to get Donkey Kong physical. I want to get a Pro controller, and I want to get the game controller. So I added all of those up together, and that is €748.97. So if everything that I wanted, I could get, and I didn't know the price beforehand, that's how much it was going to cost. In my own internal head, like my internal kind of budgeting, I was like, probably everything I'll get for 600. So that's quite a substantial amount more. And if I don't get the Mario bundle, I would save an extra €40. And to be honest with you, I think if I can't get the bundle, I'm not going to buy Mario Kart because, like I said, I like Mario Kart. It's great if you have friends over and you need something to do. You can be like, oh, do you want to play Mario Kart? And the Switch is perfect because you can just hand out the Joy-Cons. To pay 80 or 90 euros for it, I'm definitely not going to do that because I won't play it enough to get my money's worth, honestly. Donkey Kong I will buy. I did want to get it physically, but this is one that I'll buy digitally because, I'm not paying an extra 10 euros just to have it physical. The Pro controller, luckily the original Switch one works with the Switch 2, so this I'm going to skip. And the game controller, I'm also just going to skip because it's too expensive for what it is. So that takes my total down to €578.99 with the Mario Kart bundle and €538.99 without it. That's if I can get a Switch. But then you also have to remember that you have to pay, if you don't have it, so I don't have it, the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, the Nintendo Switch Online and the expansion pack. So that's like an extra 30 or 40 euros. Plus, if you want a new SD card on launch day, you can't use the one from your old Switch. You have to buy one of these new Express ones. So that's like another 60 or 70 euros. So, it's a very expensive purchase. Like, I can't imagine parents buying this for their kids. Like, what parent is going to spend this much money on a game console? I know people buy PlayStations, but Nintendo just never in that echelon of expensive. It's like they're always reasonably priced, kid friendly, family friendly. Like, this is not that. This is like, to me, this is all right. You gamers, you adult Nintendo fans, you've been whinging about this for years and years and years. We've done everything you want. We've given you all of the specs. We're giving you the games. Now you have to pay for it. And we do have to pay for it. Yeah. Some good news is, like I said before, the at least the upgrade packs to Breath of the Wild and Return of the Kingdom are free if you own the Switch, the original Switch games, and have Nintendo Switch Online and the expansion. The upgrade packs become available on Switch 2 on launch day. And there's also, which wasn't really shown in the direct, but there are also some new Zelda amiibo to hunt down as well. If you're an amiibo collector, I think there's 4 of them. They're about 20 euros each, so that's another 8 euros to add onto your bill if you want these day one when the Switch 2 releases. For me, my plan would be, if I get a Switch, that from day one I'll either play Wind Waker or go back to Tears of the Kingdom with the Switch 2 upgrade packs. I'm interested to know what you guys plan to buy when you get the Switch. And then just finally, to kind of round it off, there are still some questions open that I would like answering. The first one will be, when will Metroid Prime come out? And specifically for me, can I use my eShop voucher to buy it, the Nintendo Switch version, or not? Because I've been very cagey, but for some reason about the Metroid Prime release date. Will eShop credit carry over to the Nintendo Switch 2? Will gold coins carry over? Yeah, I know that they're getting rid of them, but if people have gold coins, will you be able to spend them on Nintendo Switch 2 eShop? What is it going to be like getting hold of the Switch 2? Like I said, I already have a bad experience with that, and I don't know if it's going to be better or worse than trying to get the original Switch and the PlayStation 5. And yeah, like I said, I'm not eligible for the Nintendo Switch, kind of my Nintendo account. So yeah, it's going to be really just hoping that I'm fast enough getting one into my basket and purchasing it. And yeah, I'm really interested to see if we'll actually see these things on store shelves on June 5th, or if they will just be gone. So yeah, that was my roundup. I've been talking for an hour and a half now. So let's kind of end it there. I hope you enjoyed the Direct. I would really like to know what you thought about the Direct, because it was such like a kind of historical one. And like I said, for me, it was a perfect one because there was stuff we knew there, stuff we expected to be there, and stuff that we didn't know that was there. Mario Kart World looks great. Donkey Kong Bonanza looks great. Hyrule Warriors looks great. The new FromSoft game looks great. The specs of the Switch looks great. It's a very exciting time, but now it's also very kind of nervous and weirdly like worrying time of like, are we going to get one of these on release date or not? Some people in the Discord have already got them. Not on Discord, on my Blue Sky have already got them. Some people have got invites to pre-order them in Discord, which is cool. So I hope everyone gets one that wants one. But yeah, let me know what your favorite thing was during the Direct. What was a big surprise for you? What was not? What did you wish was there? You can let me know by just, if you're listening on Spotify, you can let me know in the comments of the episode. You can also let me know if you're watching on YouTube via the comments. Also, you can hit me up on Blue Sky at Beat Your Backlog Podcast and let me know there and tweet me. Or the best way to get in contact with me is to join the Beat Your God, I always mess up the end. It's like I'm so tired of talking that I'm like can't finish talking. Yeah, it's the Beat Your Backlog Discord, which the link of which will be down in the description. I'm also ad-libbing this. I don't have my usual outro here. But yeah, what I would then usually say is, if you enjoyed the episode and want to support me making more episodes, you should consider becoming a Patreon supporter. You can do that by going to patreon.com/beatyourbacklog and supporting at the $2 and $5 tier. If you do, you get all of my content 24 hours early, and you get access to my kind of spin-off sister podcast, Beat Your Bonus, where you get exclusive podcast episodes that are only available to Patreons. So yeah, go over there if you enjoyed the episode, and please consider supporting. If you don't want to do that monetarily, you can also follow on Patreon too, and you'll get all of the content as soon as it goes live for the public. But yeah, thanks so much for listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed. It's been a bit of a longer one, but I really wanted to talk about this and hear your opinions. So make sure you do let me know what your opinions are. We'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.